From a fresh, milky block that disappears in seconds to a 5-year-old wheel so intense it develops crunchy crystals, we are breaking down the 7 levels of cheese. Whether you are looking for the ultimate melting cheese for a grilled sandwich, a gooey French rebel that oozes across your plate, a stinky masterpiece bathed in beer, or a historic blue cheese born from a forgotten love story, we're going from the youngest and freshest all the way to the sharpest, hardest seasonings on the planet. Think of cheese less as a static recipe and more as a timeline. In fact, a single block of cheddar can start its life smooth and pliable, only to end up dry, crumbly, and packed with those crunchy crystals 5 years down the road. If you want to actually understand what you're buying at the counter, forget the hundreds of confusing names. It all boils down to a few basic styles, starting with level 1, fresh cheeses. These are the absolute simplest form of the craft because they skip the cellar entirely and are made to be eaten basically immediately. Legend says Middle Eastern nomads discovered them by accident when they stored milk in animal stomach pouches where natural enzymes curdled it into something unexpectedly delicious. Because styles like ricotta, chèvre, cottage cheese, and mozzarella never form a rind or get time to get complicated, there's nowhere for bad ingredients to hide. The milk quality matters more here than anywhere else, giving you that soft, high moisture texture and a clean, milky flavor that breathes life into salads and pastries. Moving to level 2, you have the soft ripened cheeses, the gooey rebels that age from the outside in. Cheesemakers expose them to specific molds until they grow a thin, white, edible crust called a bloomy rind. That rind is a living layer that actively breaks down the interior, turning it from a firm block into a buttery, mushroomy paste. Brie and camembert are the icons here, born in northern France. A Norman cheesemaker named Marie Harel reportedly invented camembert back in 1791 with tips from a priest hiding out from the French Revolution. The biggest mistake people make here is eating these cheeses too early. If the center is still firm and chalky, you're missing the whole point. You've got to wait until it oozes. Leave a semi-hard cheese in a cellar for a year or two more and you hit level 5, hard cheese. The moisture drops so low that the texture turns completely granular and crumbly. These are your heavy hitters like parmigiano reggiano, manchego, and pecorino romano. As they mature, they develop tiny, crunchy protein crystals that pop in your mouth, making them so intense they act more like a seasoning than a snack. Buying them is serious business too. Inspectors physically tap the outside of a hard cheese wheel with a tiny hammer, listening to the echo. Adulthood means a hidden air pocket inside, which can get the entire wheel rejected. Level 4 brings us to the semi-hard cheeses, aged anywhere from 3 to 12 months. Here, the flavors trade simple milkiness for deeper notes of hazelnut, fruit, or a sharp tang. They're dense, easy to grate, and pair perfectly with a drink. Take cheddar, which is defined by a unique physical workout called cheddaring. Once the liquid whey drains, the remaining curds are cut into blocks, stacked and flipped repeatedly. The sheer weight of the stacks squeezes out leftover moisture, giving cheddar its signature tight, springy texture. Then there's comté, made in the French Jura Mountains, which is tied entirely to the land. It requires milk from specific cows, grazing on alpine pastures, meaning a summer wheel tastes completely different from a winter wheel. Leave a semi-hard cheese in a cellar for a year or two more and you hit level 5, hard cheese. The moisture drops so low that the texture turns completely granular and crumbly. These are your heavy hitters like parmigiano reggiano, manchego, and pecorino romano. As they mature, they develop tiny, crunchy protein crystals that pop in your mouth, making them so intense they act more like a seasoning than a snack. Buying them is serious business too. Inspectors physically tap the outside of a hard cheese wheel with a tiny hammer, listening to the echo. Adulthood means a hidden air pocket inside, which can get the entire wheel rejected. Then there's level 6, the controlled chaos of blue cheese, which is deliberately injected with mold to create those signature blue-green veins. While white molds live on the surface, blue mold thrives in dark air pockets inside the cheese. To help it along, cheesemakers use long metal rods to pierce the wheels, letting oxygen flow into the interior so the mold can breathe. Roquefort, one of the oldest cheeses around, is made from sheep's milk and aged in France's natural Combalou caves. Legend says a young shepherd forgot his lunch of bread and cheese in a cave while chasing after a girl, only to return months later to find it beautifully transformed. The flavor spectrum here is massive. Gorgonzola dolce is mild and creamy, Stilton is earthy, and Roquefort can be a sharp, salty, almost peppery punch to the face. If you can handle a bit of funk, level 7 gets you into washed rind cheeses. Don't let the smell scare you off. These cheeses are periodically bathed in brine, beer, wine, or cider while they age. The dampness invites a specific bacterium to the party, turning the outside sticky, pinkish orange, and aggressively stinky. But here's the secret. The inside of cheeses like taleggio, epoisses, and limburger is usually incredibly sweet, mild, and famously creamy. Match them with whatever regional drink is made near the dairy, and you're golden. And as a bonus level, we have the rule breakers, specialty and process-based cheeses defined by weird specific techniques. First are the stretched curd cheeses like mozzarella and provolone, where the curds are dipped in hot water and literally pulled like taffy to give them a ropey, elastic stretch. Then you have whey cheeses like traditional ricotta, which technically aren't even real cheese because they're made by recooking the leftover liquids from other cheese-making runs. Finally, there are caramelized cheeses like Norway's famous gjetost, made by boiling whey, cream, and milk for hours until the natural sugars completely caramelize. It looks exactly like a block of brown fudge and tastes like salty, dairy-rich caramel. So the next time you look at a cheese board, remember, you're not just looking at different recipes, you're looking at time and chemistry at work.